Hi, we are the group 2 and we are going to talking about operations and production. First, we need to know that everything consumed, from our clothes to our smartphones, comes from a company. But how are these commodities made? How do they come so perfectly made and in time to us? This is what we call operations and production, the process to transform resources in products or services. What is production management about? In a factory, more specifically in the production area where the process of a product is made, it's necessary to have a management to keep the operations in order. Production management is about organizing, planning, directing, and controlling the production activities. Its objective is to put together human and material resources to transform raw materials into finished products to the customers, which means that money, men, machines, methods, and materials, we all need someone to manage them so they can deliver a big amount of high quality products with a low cost and in the right time. Based on that, the manager will get information whether the process is being efficient or not, and then making decisions about what he can do to improve the process. Faber-Castell, to make a pencil, we need a lot of components. These components need to be stocked and controlled, and each one of them will be delivered by a different provider. The choice of the provider is also a part of the production management, because the company needs to choose the cheapest or the fastest deliverer. Provided that will deliver the material once a week, once a month, it will depend on the goals of the company. It's important to plan which process is made first and which one comes next, like mixing graphite and clay, pressing, drying and coloring the leads, milling the grooves, etc. Also, it is important to establish an exact or nearly exact time to deliver your product to the customer. We know that here in Brazil, the school begins on March, so Faber-Castell knows that on January, February, it will need to deliver millions of pencils to Brazil. So it needs to prepare the production to deliver in different times to supply the demands of each country. Having all machines working, all materials stocked, all employees motivated, and all methods in the right sequence are examples of production management. Elwood Spencer Buffa has a definition. Production management deals with decision-making related to the production process, so that the resulting goods and services are produced in accordance to the quantitative specifications and demand scheduled with minimum cost.
Product management is a dynamic activity whose growth has been fed by challenges and demands of manufacturing, government, and service organization. It's also a profession which future depends on the abilities of practitioners to react to operational and organizational changes and facilitate them, and most importantly, their ability to anticipate and promote the change process itself. Now I'm going to explain the function and scope of process management. Here I'm going to approach some important points like production process model and production planning and control, process strategies of transformation and evolution of productive systems. Then we are going to go deeper into each of the steps mentioned and how they seek to promote improvement in production management. Product systems are a conjunct of elements inserted in the production of a property or service that, related to each other, arrive at the final result according to pre-established specifications at the beginning of the project. These systems seek to identify important points like quality improvement, productivity improvement, cost reductions, and reduction of lead time. The entrance of one product is named input. The input that are resources to be directly covered in products. This transformation occurs through an entrance of a project that turns into a VSM, value stream mapping. The VSM is basically a tool that maps the flow of material and information, in addition to the associated execution time, through multiple processes. So, in input are all the resources to be transformed, like materials, information, and customers, which will be converted in some way, and the transformation resources like equipment and people, which act on the resources to be transformed. After input, the next step in the production chain is the process, local where are located the primary inputs necessary to realize the productive process. For example, physical resources like machines, equipment, raw materials, energy resources, and human, economy and financial resources. Lastly, in output, we have basically two steps: fabrication or manufacturing of products. When we talk about physical products that can be stored or supplied, or service provision, when the product can't be stored and must be provided at the same time of your execution. Um, Here we have some examples like an airline. In the beginning of the operation are necessary all the resources like materials that compose the airplane, the plane itself, the passengers, and the pilots. After that occurs the process of operation, like the check-in of the passengers and the transport. And lastly, there is the final of the process, when the passengers have already been transported. Now I'm going to talk about strategies of production process, balanced scorecard, vision, mission, and administration models. We will also talk about training, organization, and methods, and the VSM and VSD. So let's start. The companies are preparing themselves for a future based on the initiative of an efficient and lean product system, focusing on visualization and waste reduction in the product chain. With a sustainable and differentiated planning, an analysis is making of the past and present beyond the plans for the future. To reach the success in these activities, organizations use tools of management in an integrated way. All the strategy developed should be planned and unfolded starting with the balanced scorecast, vision, mission, and management administration that allows to see what the company did, is doing, and what it should do. Balanced scorecard is a tool of strategy planning which organizations defines then goals and strategies aiming to measure the results of organization through indicators. This strategic planning helps to visualize the potential for improvement in an integrated manner and in the construction of the actions to be carried out. The tools of management, VSM and VSD, reflect the product system and the constant improvement aiming the integration of areas to aggregate value to the beginning until the end of the process. To get a robust fabrication process with minimum possible waste is necessary to have a flow of material well defined and lean that enable to see quickly the debtors to after minimize them and if possible eliminate them. Another important factor to be considered is the flow of information because it agile the fabrication of the final product, treats debtors, and is the primordial factor in the procedure of standardization of process. With the continuous search for waste reduction, organizations discovered that a clearly assertive and quickly communication generates less disturbance in final product fabrication. Now, I will talk about the evolution of the product system. So, the new information technologies support the system products. In other words, information is an important and critical flow. To reach higher degrees of competitiveness, some factors are crucial, like quality improvement. The product must have equal or higher quality than its competitors. For that, fabrication process must be flexible and lean to treat complaints and detours found by customers in an agile and definitive way. The second factor is the cost. The product must have the lowest possible cost, inferior to the competition, without affecting its quality. Other factor is the lead time. The product must be delivered to the customer in the last possible time, or at least in the time defined with the customer. Other point is the graphic design. The fabrication, sequence or assembly operations required by the product determines the layout kind used in the fabric floor. The equipment is organized in a sense that the products follow ever the same model through the layout.
And now we are going to learn more and talk about the productive and its tools. I will explain about waste elimination, value stream mapping, standard work, test management approach, failure mode and effects analysis, visual management, and SIPOC. Hello everyone, now I'm gonna explain about the productive and its tools. So I'm gonna start talking about waste elimination. So what is it? It's one of the most effective ways to increase the profitability of any business. Process the and value or the and waste to the production of a good or a service. And to eliminate waste, it is important to understand exactly what waste is and where it exists, where products significantly differ between factors. The typical wastes found in environments are quite similar. Anything that is unproductive or doesn't add value that a customer will pay for is considered muda or waste. For each waste, that is a strategy to reduce or elimination its effect on a company, thereby improving the overall performance of the company. Now I'm gonna present examples of inventory waste could include some or all of the following: parts not needed, overorders or not figured out yet, materials ordered too soon, material and tools and handbuds not being used, experts, and material and tools not needed, extra, and material and tools over purchased. Another tool is VSM, or value stream mapping. What is it? The value stream mapping process allows you to create a detailed visualization of all steps in your work process. It is a representation of the flow of goods from supplier to customer to your organization. For example, the value a software company delivers to its customer are software solutions and all features inside. A value stream map puts on display all the important steps of your work process and necessary to deliver value from start to finish. It allows you go visualize every task that your team works and provide a single glance status reports about the progress of each segment. And the primary purpose of creating a value stream map is to show you the places where you can improve your process by visualizing both its value adding and wasteful steps. For every organization, for every process, and for every operation, standard work will be unique. Standard work is a detailed definition of the current best practices for performing an activity or process. Standard work documentation contains instructions, use of graphics, and anything else necessary to ensure that work is done consistently, no matter who does it. The standard work is made accessible to the people who do the work in the place that it is done. Standard work generally answer for important questions. Who does what? When do you do it? How do you do it? And how do you do it their way? Another classic definition of standard work says it has three components, which is particularly true in manufacturing: take time, work sequences, and standard work in process. Now I'm gonna talk about TMAP, Task Management Approach. Task Management Approach is a leading approach for testing software. This structured task management approach could help in delivering complex and high-quality software more quickly, allowing organizations to save time and money. TMAP offers a toolbox for setting and conducting tests in combination with manual and instructions. The approach of structured testing consists of four essential components: task management, toolbox, structure, and flexibility. Failure mode and effects analysis is a structured approach to discovering potential failures that may exist within the design of a product or process. Failure modes are the ways in which a process can fail. Effects are the ways that these failures can lead to waste. Defects are harmful outcomes for the customer. The purpose of the FMEA is to take actions to eliminate or reduce failures, starting with the highest priority ones. Failure modes and effects analysis also documents current knowledge and action about the risks of failures. First, in continuous improvement is used during design to prevent failures. There is this tool, I'm sure that you know about that, but not with this name. So I'm gonna present for you what is visual management. It's fundamentally all about communication. Effective visual management uses instinctive visual cues to communicate key information about a workplace at a glance. Visual management is a way to communicate any and all information possible, but you will most commonly find it as a way to display information about expectations, performance standards, and warnings. And the key here is that the tool communicating this information visually, it requires no interpretation to understand. That means, regardless of whether I am familiar with the workplace or not, I should be able to instantly see the current state of work and navigate my way around the area, or track how the team are performing versus target. The purpose of visual management is to improve the effectiveness of communication and reaction. This is one component of lean manufacturing. Effective visual management involves careful tools to have the best impact. So the benefits of visual management are: work actually happens, creates visual thinkers, and the physical work environment speaks. Bottom line improvements, improved safety, and company-wide alignment and unit. The objective are expose waste and make it clear to everyone the work area, so a machine should talk to you in simple terms, and the goals should be clearly indicated. The status of production should be found with the goals, and simple problem-solving tools on display, and increased communication is ultimately what all the above will do. And last but not less important, we're gonna talk about the CPOC diagram. It's a very important tool to any management in the company. So let's learn. And CPOC is a tool used by a team to identify all relevant elements of a process improvement project before work begins. It helps define a complex project that may not be well scoped, and is typically employed as the mastery phrase of the Six Sigma: define, measure, analyze, improve, and control methodology. The graphic visualization of a CPOC diagram simplifies immensely the understanding of this business process, identifying the key components, namely suppliers, inputs, and process outputs, and customers. Specifically, the supplier is whoever provides an input into the process. What does CPOC stand for? Suppliers, inputs, process, outputs, and the customers. The acronym CPOC stands for suppliers, inputs, process, outputs, and the customers, which form the columns of the table. The benefits of construction CPOC diagram take place when a team needs to understand the basics that make up the process, and needs to record knowledge about a process in an easy-to-view format, and needs to make concise communication to others about a process. Now I'm gonna talk about 7 steps to create CPOC diagram. The first step is to establish a name or title for the process. The second step is to define the starting point and the end point of the process to be improved. And the third step is to state to the top level process steps of the process. The fourth step is to list the key outputs of the process. Usually, this list includes up to 3 or 4 main outputs. Ever told the process might produce more. The fifth step is to define who receives those outputs: the customers. And these customers may be internal, part of the business, or external. The sixth step is to list the inputs to process. Stick with only 2 forming inputs. In seventh step, define who supplies the inputs to the process. That is it about CPOC. So I hope you corta essa parte que eu esqueci o que eu ia falar. Obrigada.
Developing an amazing product is one of the hardest challenges that a company can overcome, but it's not the only factor that will determine the success of a business. Today's consumers have more industry influence than they ever had in the past, allowing them to focus on more than just the product that you're selling them. Now, consumers are interested in what you're selling them, how you're selling it, and what happens after you've sold it to them. Businesses are now facing the challenge of creating an excellent customer experience that's consistent across every interaction. To achieve this, many companies are now focusing on how they manage their customer relationships. Building stronger customer relations is a great way to develop customers' loyalty and retain valuable long-term customers. But to have a great customer relationship, you have to know about supply chain management. That is kind of behind all of that. So let's see the next video.
Have you ever wondered where your clothes are made? Where your Levi's zipper came from, or where your iOS device was put together? They likely came from far away, and this is all due to efficient supply chains. First off, let's take an American Eagle shirt you might have got at your local mall. Where do you think it came from? China? It was actually likely made here in this factory in Vietnam, shipped through Singapore in a big container, and then trucked to your local mall. Next, have you ever wondered why all of your zippers say YKK on them? That's because it was likely manufactured by Yoshida Kyogo Kabushiki, headquartered in Japan, but your zipper was likely manufactured in this factory in the state of Georgia, USA, where their largest manufacturer is located. Are you still looking at your zipper? Lastly, your latest iOS device might have been assembled in this new factory of one of Apple's suppliers, located here just outside of Sao Paulo, Brazil.
So, what is supply chain? Supply chain is the process of getting a product from point A to point B. With how advanced technology has become, there are more ways than ever to transport your product. Our goal as supply chain managers is to get your product into your hands. Now, you might say, how do we do that? Well, it's easy. First, we negotiate with suppliers to purchase these raw materials. Second, we ship those materials as efficiently as possible through trucks, ships, and trains. And finally, we do everything we can to make sure your product gets to the store on time so you, as a consumer, can enjoy your product. Why is this so important to you? Well, without it, you wouldn't enjoy that car that you're able to drive, or even that phone that you enjoy using. Think about it. Everything you own is because of a company's supply chain. And without these supply chains, we would have nothing. So, how does supply chain compare to other areas of business? Accounting, well, it's the language of business with their income statements and balance sheets. Marketing, on the other hand, is the promotion of business, making sure our customers are aware of our product with customer surveys, sales, and things like advertisements. So, where does that leave supply chain? In supply chain management, we are the business. We source your product, we make your product, and we deliver your product so you, as a consumer, can enjoy your product.
So what careers are available in supply chain management? First, there are people who make deals and negotiate with suppliers to make sure you get things like raw materials to your business on time. You can strike deals, save your company lots of money, something that will make you very valuable in the marketplace. Also, you could work in quality control and assure that your company's product is the best on the market. This involves deep analysis and constantly evolving quality methods to make sure your product is consistently the best. You could be a process analyst and improve the processes in your factory. You will be responsible to make sure your products get out the door as efficiently as possible, like all these nice cars being pumped out of this factory. In logistics, a complex and exciting field, we focus on getting materials from one place to another. This field is growing quickly. For example, about 10% of the population of the state of Georgia works in the field of logistics. You could be a supply chain strategy analyst. You can consult your company on how they can save money by modifying their supply chain, come up with great ideas. Supply chain managers save their companies an average of $250,000 every year. So what companies recruit from BYU? Aramark, Boeing, Walmart, Brodeo Shaw, C.H. Robinson, Walt Disney, Intermountain Healthcare, PepsiCo, Schneider National, Union Pacific, among many others.
So, why should you choose supply chain management at BYU? First, our program is ranked 14th by the Supply Chain Management Review. Second, we have world-class faculty. Third, you'll get real-world experience. And finally, BYU undergraduates earn an average starting salary of $52,000 per year. And that's why you need to choose supply chain management from Brigham Young University.
Supply chain is vital to businesses because it can help reduce costs with better efficiency from suppliers and leaner inventories, provide better customers service with faster delivery, and react faster to market demands and innovations. It also offers assurance of corporate responsibility in every facet of production. It includes the collection of materials, the manufacture of products, and the delivery to the consumer. Supply chain managers coordinate with key players in the supply chain, supplier, logistics, team, and customers, often working globally and overseeing suppliers, purchasing orders, warehouses, and forecasting. To the production process in any business is the process of determining the cost of goods sold. The cost of goods sold is the summary of the production process as it relates to the cost of the merchandising that was sold. It involves starting with a beginning inventory total and adding the cost of labor and materials paid in a specific period. Once these two costs are combined, the end inventory is subtracted from the total to arrive at the cost of goods sold. The formula looks like beginning inventory plus labor and material costs less ending inventory.
The major difference between supply chain management and operations management is that supply chain is mainly concerned with what happens outside the company, like obtaining materials and delivering products, while production line management is concerned with what happens inside the company. Both operations and supply chain are expected to add value to the business, supporting more efficient processes and ultimately driving better revenue for the company. In fact, in pursuit of those objectives, the two roles are inextricably linked together. Supply chain controls the process for having the product produced. Without it, operations wouldn't have a product to oversee operations for.
Sales is the term that describes the process in which a customer purchases the goods or services offered by a business. Gross sales refers to the total dollar volume of goods or services customers purchase from a business before any deduction is made for the cost of the merchandise. Sales usually rely on advertising or marketing, which is what a business uses to attract customers to its products or services.
The main difference between sales and production is that you must produce a product before you can sell it. Sales in a business are closely correlated to the marketing or sales effort of a business, whereas production is closely related to the manufacturing process. All business processes ultimately rely on each other in order to effectively bring a product or service to market. Most businesses have separate departments for sale and production. Each department depends on the other. For example, the sales department might be planning an aggressive sales campaign based on seasonal merchandise. However, before it can aggressively advertise the campaign, it needs to be sure the production department has the capability to produce enough product to adequately meet the anticipated demand.
So, what is endomarketing and why is it important? Endomarketing is one of the most effective ways to reduce turnover and attract new highly qualified professionals to the company. The strategy helps to create an image of a good place to work and make people feel like their current position is the dream job. The meaning of the term endomarketing can be deduced from the meanings of two words. It is consisted of the endo prefix that comes from the Greek and means inside, and the word marketing. Therefore, Endomarketing is the marketing inward, which in the business environment refers to inside of the company. Endomarketing is an institutional marketing strategy aimed at internal actions. It seeks to improve the image of the company among its employees, culminating in a motivated team and reducing turnover. Many companies dedicate a lot of time and research to attract and return customers, but they completely neglect their own worker. However, the reality is that a dissatisfied employee whose needs are not covered by the company, it's impossible to provide the customers with the unique experience that we want. Endomarketing is a management process aimed at selling the company to its own workers. Some people call this strategy internal marketing because it forms the employees' perceptions of the company, considering their claims and presenting new ways of transforming them into a brand evangelist. This means that all these people have a different perception of that business. They begin to see the company in a more human and charismatic way, developing a feeling of the adoration for the business. If you take care of our employees, they will take care of the clients. Richard Branson. How to improve the relationship between the production line and other departments. The production is responsible for make material and palpable what will be delivered to the customer, being the heart of the company. In its full execution, it is tied consistently with the other departments of the company. As departments perform a particular role, they work to move the company as a set of gears, and if one of them presents problems, this movement will be affected, reducing productivity as a role. It's clear that the production line needs to be fully integrated with other departments and that interpersonal relationships are fundamental. Therefore, to improve this relationship, the use of endomarketing is essential. The benefits of endomarketing. The main benefit of endomarketing is that it achieves coordination between the different areas, which allows the development and correct implementation of the plans and strategies. It is surprising, but very good initiatives fail before they even come to light, due to the lack of support within the company. Avoid the failure or abandonment of marketing initiatives or any other project because working in a coordination involves each part of the company. Workers from the other areas can complement the work or even identify problems or failures, and that prevents project failure. If everything is communicated across all areas, no one will be caught by surprise at a new event, product, or promotion. There will be no failures due to ignorance. Generates greater motivation for the employee who at the same time feel like more identified with the business brand. The whole company shares common values and objectives. Everyone knows their role perfectly. It allows evaluating the work jointly due to the fact that each project was being carried out with the total coordination of the departments within the company. Thanks to endomarketing, the rotation of work is decreased due to increase in satisfaction and the commitment to the organization. It also improves workers' mental health and quality of life, which in the long term will reduce the number of casualties in the company. When a company understands that its best asset is its employees and that it must work on the reputation of the company for winning, it also sends a message to its potential clients.